Marvel is dead. That's just the truth of it. Marvel's dead. Maybe one day it can be good again. Maybe one day they can reboot it and kind of start fresh. Not like a full reboot, but like a soft reboot. But as it stands right now, I no longer, and so many other people, have no excitement in them when a new Marvel property comes out. Whether it be a theatrical release movie or a TV show that they just throw right on Disney+, I have no excitement left in me. And I've been a fan of Marvel since 2008 when the very first Iron Man came out. And I'm still a massive fan now, to the point that I have a Hawkeye tattoo inspired by the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye, the same run that they used kind of as a blueprint when making the Hawkeye TV show. So believe me when I say that I'm depressed at the fact that Marvel is failed. The experiment was amazing. Infinity Saga blew everybody away, and Endgame probably should have been the end of the MCU, but they kept going. Was I excited they kept going? Yes, of course, everybody was. I did not want it to be over. I wanted this beautiful ride to keep going, and I wanted to stay on it till the very end.
I'm with you to the end of the line, pal.
And unfortunately, the end is now. Even if they keep making stuff, the end is now. But where exactly did Marvel die? Some people might say that Marvel died at the end of Endgame. When Endgame was done, when we lost Tony Stark and Captain America and Black Widow, that is when Marvel was over. And you could make a case for that everything that came after didn't really matter, because everything has been very hit or miss, and let's be honest, a lot more miss than we would hope for.
There's a point in the story where you're gonna get really sad and you're gonna feel really bad for me. Don't.
But I think that we all still had it in our hearts to believe in Marvel, and it didn't die right away. It floundered for a while, and COVID kind of put some hiccups in it, and there were a couple huge plus points. But I don't think Endgame was the end of it. But what was the end of it? Now, a lot of pessimists would say, and a lot of idiots as well, that Black Widow was the end of the MCU. And granted, Black Widow should have came out years beforehand, where it is set in the continuity after Civil War. And if it was put there, it would have been a fantastic movie. As it stands right now, it was merely okay. I enjoyed it. I watched it at home on my TV, and my wife and I thought it was a lot of fun. It borrows a lot from Captain America the Winter Soldier, probably the best Marvel movie ever made, but you can't fault it for borrowing from something that is, you know, so stellar and on its own. And sure, there were some negative aspects to the movie, but I think they were far outweighed by the fun and the good aspects. We were introduced to Yelena Belova, who hopefully will be a big character going forward in Marvel for as long as it goes on.
Ugh, that was disgusting.
Scarlett Johansson absolutely killed it in this, as she always does in her performances as Black Widow. Yeah, the story itself may not have been all that interesting, but I think overall it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and I've gone back and I've watched it a time or two since then. So no, it didn't die here, and anybody that says this is one of the worst Marvel movies is just kind of an idiot. Maybe a misogynist. Some other people might say that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was what killed the MCU, and granted, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, huge letdown.
Start lining up our buyers. Super soldiers might be off the menu.
But you have to also remember, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was preceded by WandaVision. WandaVision, just a spectacular show that tried so many different things that you wouldn't ever think that you would see from Marvel. It was a true experience to watch this week to week. And the fact that Marvel does week to week really helps it out in the community behind their shows. And yes, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier sucked. But Bucky and Sam Wilson are always a blast to be with. And even though the Flag Smashers and the new Captain America, I'm forgetting his name right now, and I don't care about it enough to look it up, but who is now a U.S. agent, the fact that he had like a heel turn at the end and was a good guy, even though he cut a man in half with Captain America's shield.
Jesus Christ.
Whatever. Bad show. Didn't die here though. We were still all riding high from WandaVision. And then after that, we had like a really cool run of like Loki and What If and Shang-Chi. And those were all varying levels of good to really good. And then Eternals came out. And here's another point where I've heard a lot of people say, oh, this was the death of the MCU. And yeah, Eternals is probably not, if not the worst Marvel movie. I think there's been things that have come out since Eternals. At the time, I would have said Eternals was the worst Marvel movie. There's been things that have come out that are worse. I definitely will say it is the most boring Marvel property that has ever come out. And that is even worse than something that I'm going to get to later on in this video. I also think that Marvel was trying something different, something new. They got an inspired young director fresh off an Oscar to come and make something that was completely different than Marvel had ever done. And at this point, they have had a couple stinkers, so I don't blame them for trying to shake it up, do things on location, let a director have more creative liberties. But it's not as if directors haven't had creative liberties. You have people like Taika Waititi and Ryan Coogler that come in that you can obviously see aspects of them. But if anything, I think that the Marvel machine does kind of need somebody to write the course and make sure that these movies feel similar, even if they do have the spark of an original director in there, like with those Thor movies and with the Black Panther movies. I don't think this movie feels anything like a Marvel movie. And also, there's obviously the big problem of the plot holes it puts in with why didn't they step in when Thanos snapped. It's difficult to care about characters when you're introduced to 38 of them at one time. But no, I do not think that this was the death of the MCU. Close, but it didn't quite do it. Then we had Hawkeye and Spiderman No Way Home. I've been very vocal about Hawkeye being my all-time favorite MCU show. I know it's what most people consider pretty mid. It's nowhere near people's top of the list, but I enjoyed it. I think that is the best Marvel has ever done at like street level things. If you are looking away from the Netflix shows, that is. I just thought it was so much fun. And like Kate Bishop, played by Haley Steinfeld, phenomenal. And then the Elena Belova came in and was with her, and I was like, this is a power duo. We need like a Hawkeye, Black Widow, new generation movie starring these two people. I hope it happens one day.
You have one fork?
I'm one person.
That's so weird. Kate, this is not cutlery.
And then No Way Home came out, and it was one of the biggest movies ever made. We had all the Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Jesus, that all came in there together, and yeah, everybody saw it coming, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it was one of the coolest things that have ever been put to screen. Even if you take the movie and kind of think about it for like 15 seconds, it doesn't make any sense, and there's so many other plot holes within it, but who cares? We have 3 Spider-Men, and it was cool. Here, though, is where shit starts to go downhill hard. Like, this is where things really start to turn bad on us. We had Moon Knight, which was really bad. We had Doctor Strange, also bad. Even Sam Raimi could not have fixed the Doctor Strange movie. And I know that a lot of that had to do with like reshoots, and because of COVID, some things came out before that were supposed to be after, and yada yada. Doesn't matter, it was bad. Then we had Miss Marvel. And Miss Marvel, I think, was quite good. I enjoyed it quite a lot, and it actually has me excited for the Marvels, something that I didn't really think I would care about. But the problem is, Disney was dumb. They released it alongside Obi-Wan Kenobi's show. Obviously a bigger show, so nobody's fucking seen Miss Marvel. Then we had Thor. Absolute garbage. Just terrible. A joke every 7 seconds of your movie and a bunch of screaming goats. Doesn't matter if a joke is every 7 seconds if I don't laugh at a single one of them. I don't think I chuckled the entire movie.
As is tradition, the protectors of our world are bestowed with great feasts.
I don't think I need to say anything about it, but it is garbage. If you were to ask me what the worst Marvel property ever put out is, it would be Thor. You'd think that this Thor movie is what eventually killed the MCU, and it's very close. It's so close. It's so very close to killing it because it is just spectacularly awful, but it didn't quite do it. It didn't quite do it because at this point we were looking forward to the Black Panther movie, Wakanda Forever. We needed to see how the MCU said goodbye to Chadwick Boseman, how they honored his legacy. So we powered through Thor. We powered through She-Hulk, another piece of garbage. I don't want to talk about it. It's garbage because we wanted to get to Wakanda Forever. And Wakanda Forever was amazing. I loved it. Yeah, it had some problems, but it was beautiful. And Ryan Coogler just absolutely did his thing with this and made a truly spectacular movie to see. One that honestly wasn't that funny, but it didn't matter because it was deep and moving, and it made me and my emotionless heart cry, Like, it was a wonderful, wonderful send-off to Chadwick Boseman, who unfortunately passed away in real life. And it gave us a little bit of reassurance for Marvel, like, oh, maybe they can do this. But Chadwick Boseman is a lot like Taika Waititi or James Gunn. They give him a lot of clearance. They know who he is. He's got his name on the poster when a lot of these other directors don't. But we were revitalized, and we went into the next movie, Ant-Man Quantumania, so excited because we're like, oh, they nailed it. They nailed Wakanda Forever. And you know what? We're getting Kang the Conqueror, who was teased in Loki and was supposed to be the new big bad. And when he was in Loki, he was amazing. And we heard all these stories about how, you know, Kang was going to pop up in like every single property so that we were more exposed to him than we were of Thanos. And Quantumania came out and they're like, okay, a little bit weird that Kang is going to be in an Ant-Man movie, but whatever. I like Paul Rudd.
You're gonna take that dick. You're gonna take that dick, huh? I'm gonna pop off a piece of my dick.
And then it wasn't an Ant-Man movie. It definitely was not a Wasp movie. But it wasn't an Ant-Man movie. There was no heist. It wasn't ground level. It wasn't silly. I mean, it was silly, but I didn't laugh. And it was just a big CGI blowout fuckfest that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And Ant-Man, arguably the weakest of the Avengers, kicks his ass. But nothing in this movie mattered. I think Quantumania was meant to be skipped. Nothing was different at the end of Quantumania than at the beginning of Quantumania. And Kang's not actually dead because we didn't see a body. And that's the rule of Marvel. If you don't see a body, they're not dead. And even if you do see a body, sometimes they're not dead because now we're in the multiverse. And you'd think that, again, this is what killed Marvel. But it's not. It's not. Because, once again, we had James Gunn to look forward to, baby. We had the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I'll tell you what, this might be the best Marvel movie that has ever been made. And I was rejuvenated, and I was happy, and I was excited. Along with everybody else, we got to finish the story of the Guardians. And if I never see any of them again, I will be content because we have the perfect trilogy and send-off for all of them. I don't even care that some of it was absolutely depressing and made me cry. Why are Marvel movies making me cry? Is it because I'm a dad now? Do I have emotions now that I'm a dad? I never used to have these, but it's okay because it was beautiful. And they dropped an F-bomb, which was funny, and they did it like perfectly.
There's a button under the handle. Press that in.
Okay. Now what?
Open the fucking door.
And the hallway fight scene was amazing. And we came off of Quantumania, which was a big CGI fuckfest. And this is a big CGI fuckfest, but it was pretty. It was beautiful to look at. And James Gunn always tries to mix in as much practical effects as he can. So even when you're like, yeah, it's CGI, it looks great. And they let him push the boundaries too because he's known. But James Gunn's gone now. He's at DC. He's helming the competition. But you know what? I was excited. We were all excited because you know what came after this phenomenal movie? Secret Invasion. The long-awaited, long-coming, long-desired movie or TV show that is fronted by Samuel L. Jackson, a legend movie and TV actor, been with Marvel in more properties and longer than any other standing character within the MCU. He has long needed his own show or movie. And in Winter Soldier, I watched that scene where he's getting chased and he is holding his own in his SUV, just gunning everybody down and being a badass. And I'm like, this is why this man runs the Avengers. This is fucking Nick Fury. And then we get Secret Invasion. And it's the most boring, terrible, just slog to get through, non-spy spy thriller with being led by what we're supposed to believe is the best spy in the entire world, the spy of spies leading the Avengers, for the most contrived and useless storyline ever. And in a show that is supposed to be a spy thriller, where we are following Skrull, who can be anybody, absolutely anybody, take over governments without anybody knowing. That's what it's supposed to be. There are millions of these Skrulls hiding among us. But you know what? It's never once used in a fun or cool or creative way. Ooh, James Rhodes is supposed to be a Skrull. Whoop-de-doo. Who cares? I could tell from the moment that he was put on screen. And if you try and tell me that Rhodey has been a Skrull since Civil War, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I really will. You're gonna tell me that in this dog shit show, you're taking away all of the beautiful character development he had, all the moments where he was with Tony in his last moments on this Earth, on Earth 616. You're gonna tell me that was a fucking Skrull? Fuck you, Marvel. I'm sorry, I got a little heated. But this show is terrible. They took an amazing plot line in the comics. Something that somebody that's not huge into the comics, loves. They could have had the Andor of Marvel, and they squandered it on this shit. And what was the final fight? You took the goddamn Khaleesi, you took Daenerys Stormborn, and made her get a little silly-ass Drax arm and punch and laser somebody to death in my spy thriller with Nick Fury? Are you fucking with me, Marvel? Oh. Anyway, if you can't tell, this killed Marvel. This did it. They took what should have been a very down-to-earth, brought back to reality show, led by Samuel L. Jackson, what we've always wanted, with an amazing lineup of actors. One of the coolest plot lines in the entire of Marvel Comics, and gave us this piece of shit. And Marvel, I don't know how they're going to come back from this. But as of right now, the MCU is dead, and Secret Invasion killed it. If you think it died earlier, if you think it's still going, please let me know. Yeah, that's about it. That turned into much more of a rant at the end there than I was expecting. Apparently I have a lot of feelings I haven't dealt with about this show. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other videos.